Hello and welcome to The Feminine Mind. My name is Claire, and today I want to tell you about a letter I was never supposed to read, a letter that was hidden for more than 20 years, a letter that changed the way I saw my mother, my family, and myself. I found it by accident. At least that's what I believed at first. But now, when I look back, I sometimes wonder if certain truths find you exactly when you're finally ready to hear them. This happened 3 years ago. I was 25 years old. At that time, I thought I had my life under control. I had a stable job, a serious boyfriend, plans for the future. I was the kind of daughter who always tried to make everyone proud. I didn't cause problems. I didn't ask uncomfortable questions. I smiled when things felt heavy, and I kept going even when I was tired. That was how I had been raised. My mother used to say, "A strong woman doesn't fall apart," so I didn't, even when I wanted to. The story started on a Sunday afternoon. My parents had decided to clean out the attic of the house I grew up in. My father had been talking about selling the house for months. My mother hated the idea. She said the house held too many memories. My father said that was exactly the problem. I remember arriving after lunch. The house smelled like dust, lemon cleaner, and old wood, the same smell it always had. My mother was already upstairs going through boxes. My father was in the garage pretending to be busy, which usually meant he wanted to avoid anything emotional. At first, the attic was exactly what I expected. Old Christmas decorations, school projects, broken lamps, photo albums, boxes of clothes nobody had worn in 15 years. I was bored within 20 minutes. Then I found a small wooden box behind an old suitcase. It was covered in dust. No label, no lock, nothing special. But something about it made me pause. I opened it. Inside were letters, dozens of them, some tied together with ribbon, some folded loosely, some still inside envelopes. Most were addressed to my mother. A few were addressed to my father, and then I saw one envelope at the very bottom. It was yellow with age, folded carefully. My mother's handwriting was on the front, but it wasn't addressed to anyone. There was only one sentence written across it. "If she ever asks, tell her the truth." I remember feeling cold all at once, not scared exactly, just uneasy. Like I had touched something I wasn't supposed to touch. I looked toward the attic stairs. My mother was downstairs by then. I could hear her talking to my father in the kitchen. I knew I should put the envelope back. I knew it wasn't mine, but I couldn't. I opened it. The paper inside was thin and faded, and the first line said, "One day, Claire may hate me for this." I stopped breathing. My name was in the letter. My hands started shaking. I sat down on the attic floor and kept reading. The letter was from my mother, written when I was a baby. It wasn't meant for me. It was meant for my father, and in it, she confessed something I had never known. Before I was born, she had almost left. Not just my father. Everything. The marriage, the house, the life they had built, and me. She wrote that she felt trapped, that she was exhausted, that she was terrified of becoming a mother because she didn't even know who she was anymore. She wrote that everyone expected her to be grateful, a good husband, a healthy baby, a beautiful home. But inside, she felt like she was disappearing. I read those words again and again, because they sounded nothing like the mother I knew. My mother was controlled, elegant, responsible. She never complained. She never cried in front of people. She never admitted when she was overwhelmed. She was the strongest woman I knew. Or maybe that was just the story I had been told. The letter continued. She wrote that one night, when I was only 3 months old, she packed a bag. She put clothes inside, some money, a photograph, and then she stood by the front door for almost an hour. She wanted to leave. She wanted to run away from a life that everyone else called perfect, but she didn't. Because I started crying. That was what she wrote. I heard Claire crying, and I realized she was not the reason I was trapped. She was the only reason I stayed alive. I started crying when I read that, quietly, the kind of crying that comes from a place you didn't know was still hurting. For years, I had thought my mother was cold, not cruel, but distant. She loved me. I knew that. But she wasn't soft. She didn't hug easily. She didn't say, "I'm proud of you," unless I had achieved something. When I was sad, she told me to be strong. When I was scared, she told me to be practical. When I was heartbroken, she told me not to embarrass myself over a man. I spent most of my life thinking she didn't understand emotions, but sitting in that attic reading that letter, I realized something different. Maybe she understood them too well. Maybe she had spent her entire life trying not to drown in them. I kept reading. Near the end of the letter, she wrote something that changed me. She wrote, "If Claire ever becomes the kind of woman who thinks strength means silence, I hope someone loves her enough to tell her she is wrong." I stared at that sentence for a long time, because that was exactly who I had become. A woman who smiled when she wanted to scream. A woman who said, "I'm fine," because explaining the truth felt inconvenient. A woman who thought being easy to love meant having no needs. I folded the letter and sat there for almost an hour. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to run downstairs and confront my mother. Part of me wanted to put the letter back and pretend I had never found it, but some truths cannot be unread. Eventually, I walked downstairs. My mother was standing at the kitchen sink, washing a cup that was already clean. She did that when she was nervous. I don't know how, but I think she knew. Maybe she saw my face. Maybe mothers always know when something has shifted. I placed the letter on the table. She looked at it, and for the first time in my life, I saw my mother look afraid. Not angry, not disappointed. Afraid. She sat down slowly. Neither of us spoke for a while. Then she said, "You weren't supposed to find that." I asked her if it was true. She nodded. I asked why she never told me. She looked at me with tired eyes and said, "Because I didn't want you to think you were unwanted." That broke me, because that thought had never even entered my mind. I told her that. I told her I didn't feel unwanted. I felt sad that she had carried it alone. And then something happened that I will never forget. My mother started crying. Not a little, not politely. She broke. The woman who had spent my entire life telling me not to fall apart finally fell apart in front of me. And for the first time, I didn't see her as my perfect, impossible mother. I saw her as a woman, a young woman who had been scared, a young woman who had been lonely, a young woman who had been expected to be strong before anyone asked if she was okay. We talked for 3 hours about motherhood, marriage, regret, fear, love. She told me things she had never said out loud, and I told her things I had been hiding too. I told her I was tired. I told her I was scared of becoming like her. I told her I didn't know how to ask for help without feeling weak. She reached across the table and held my hand, and said, "Then don't become like me. Become freer than me." That sentence stayed with me. After that day, our relationship changed. Not perfectly. This isn't a movie. We didn't suddenly become best friends. She was still my mother, still stubborn, still complicated, still difficult sometimes. But something softened between us, and something softened inside me too. I stopped believing strength meant never needing anyone. I stopped confusing silence with dignity. I stopped treating my own emotions like problems to solve. The letter didn't destroy my family. It told the truth about it, and sometimes the truth doesn't break things. Sometimes it finally lets them breathe. I still have a copy of that letter. My mother let me keep it, not because the past was beautiful, but because it was honest. And honesty, even when it hurts, can become a doorway. So if you're listening to this, and you've spent your whole life trying to be the strong one, I want you to hear this. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to need comfort. You are allowed to tell the truth before it becomes too heavy to carry. Strength is not silence. Strength is not pretending. And strength is not becoming so easy to love that nobody has to care for you. Sometimes real strength is finally saying, "This is too much for me to carry alone." Thank you for listening. And remember, the truth you're most afraid to face may be the truth that finally sets you free.